Good morning, YouTube. Welcome to the Reptile Barn. We have a fun video for you today. At least I think it's going to be fun. I will be interviewing Liz. So I have a list of questions that I'm going to ask her. She does not know what these questions are yet, and we'll see what she answers. Joining us today, by the way, this is Dragonita. She's a banana green pastel.
And this one here is Etch. This is a spider pinstripe het desert ghost, also known as a spinner het desert ghost.
Yep. All right, so got my trusty questions here. Ready? With no further ado,
Go for it.
in your words, how did we get started with our business?
Get started. So, as Colin has talked about before, he heard about even the possibility of being a reptile breeder when he was eavesdropping on a couple of his TAs talking in one of his classes about the different careers that involved actually like hands-on work with animals. And he came home from school that day and was just he was just lit up. He was so excited. And he showed me a whole bunch of different like reptile YouTubers, particularly Brian Barczyk. I think at the time he was doing his like every Wednesday snake bites episodes or whatever, and we spent the next couple of weeks like clockwork. Every week we'd watch snake bites, and we'd be waiting and counting the days between Justin Kabilka's at the time incredibly irregular videos, and just like the more as that semester continued, the more we dived into the world of actual breeders, not just like these cool animals that we've seen at pet stores. And at the time, like going to pet stores and playing with animals was one of our like go-to favorite dates. So,
That's
like,
true. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
we did that all the time.
all the time. So like we were obviously kind of crazy animal people already, and then just as we learned more and more about like what it meant to be a breeder, we tried to figure out how to make that happen. And when you're living in student housing on the edge of college campus, renting a basement apartment from someone who's scared of snakes, like your options are kind of limited. So we were really, really excited when like a year later, we were able to get us set up here in Alaska at the time Colin parents' old house, and kind of partner with his brother so that even while we were down finishing school, there was someone to obviously take care of the animals. And we were able to get that first breeding colony. We got a desert ghost male, Greg, which you guys have seen quite a bit on the vlog, although I think it's been a while since he's been on.
That's this guy's dad.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's Etch's dad, actually.
Oh, no, not true. That Etch is his grandson, because Thor is his dad.
Oh, you're right.
Crazy.
Ooh, that's weird. That makes it feel like we've been doing this a while. And a whole bunch of het desert ghosts. A couple, was it 2 spider het desert ghosts, and then Lindy?
Yep. Just regular desert,
the regular het desert ghost. Yep. And it totally snowballed from there. Colin tells people all the time that ball pythons are addicting, and that's because we know from personal experience.
Oh, yeah. Question number 2. When did you first believe we can be professional reptile breeders?
Probably about a month into researching it.
Yep. What about me?
About you
when did I first believe that?
Some days you still don't believe it. We literally have a house full of reptiles, and he still has days where he's just like, "What are we doing, Liz?" And I'm just like, "We're doing what we want to do, and it's amazing, and stop it."
I'm much more pessimistic / realistic than Liz is.
Ignore him.
But yeah, she was sold from about 3 hours in.
I mean, look at that face. How how can you not just want like a million of those in your life?
Oh, wanting a million of them in your life is fine, but what have been one or two of our biggest setbacks?
So, that's a big.
Just
big
like
question.
one or maybe two.
So the terrible clutch with the Ultramels that one year when the incubator. I don't remember if we got them too dry or too wet, or
we just lost
if
the
that
whole
was,
clutch.
or if that was the season that the incubator went out a couple times because we had power outages, or I don't remember what it was. It's probably Colin probably talked about it in a YouTube video years ago, but we had a clutch of Ultramel ball pythons that like there was like 11 or 13 or some insanely large amount of eggs that were going to be like our first visual Ultramel babies, and we lost all but one, and that one was so tiny and sickly that Colin was just positive that one was gonna die, and we did manage to like.
That was
Mr. Noodle.
Mr. Noodle.
Yeah,
we
cute.
kept him for like a year.
Yes.
He got strong. He got awesome, and then we ended up
finally bulked up.
Yep.
And we felt comfortable.
We sold him to a friend that we know well.
Yeah, but that was.
That's
that
right.
was a dark
I love
dark
that
day.
snake.
Oh, he was so cute and he was so friendly, but that was terrible because that was the first time that we'd ever lost an animal, and we lost like 10 of them at once, and it was terrible. We just had like this whole day of
we're doomed. It was bad though. We felt bad for the snakes.
It was terrible. We were just like, what do we even do moving on? But quite frankly, there was a lot that we learned from that. We fixed some of the things that we had for our incubator and our like incubation process, how we set up the egg boxes, and have we had
We've had other incubation problems
but
besides
nothing
that, but
devastating,
not
I don't
like
think.
a whole clutch
there's
that
something
was.
you haven't
I
told
mean,
me about.
people lose eggs all the time, but the whole clutch was within like a day of hatching. They were
awful.
Oh, it was just
awful.
Yeah, it was bad.
And I think I was at work that day, so I wasn't even like here with Colin when he like cut the eggs and just kept finding dead baby after dead baby after dead baby.
Yeah.
And it was just awful. So he just like calls me and he's devastated, and I'm just like trying not to cry because I'm at work. It was awful. That was probably the like more of an emotional mental setback than like a business setback, but it was rough. Anyway.
What are one or two of our largest successes as a business, as a reptile business?
So also hard. So I definitely think that like the expo was a huge success. That was the craziest, most stressful thing to organize, and I know that Colin did crazy amounts of work for it, but I feel like an awful lot of the like organizational planning prep parts of it kind of fell on my shoulders because I happen to be good at that kind of thing. At least I think I am. And it was a lot. It was a lot of moving parts, and it was a lot of moving pieces, and there was an awful lot of coordination between all of our different vendors and trying to make sure that it was a good show for the public and a good turnout for our vendors so that it was worth it to them, and it was absolutely a million times better than we ever possibly could have imagined. It was fantastic, and I cannot wait to try it again if the pandemic will ever chill out enough to let us do it.
Our city, Anchorage, is pretty cautious with these things. Yeah. I just worry that it's going to be a long time before they will allow large indoor events, but we'll see. We'll see. We have still an active website. We haven't done anything with it.
Oh my gosh, it's been dead.
But it gets thousands of hits, people wondering like, oh, are we going to do this again? And I'm like, and then people call me, text me, email me. I'm like, we want to so bad.
I mean, we get emails at least a couple times a week, like, hey, any news on the expo? And we're just like, well,
we will let everyone know on every social media as soon as we know anything. All right, next question. Do you have a favorite reptile species?
Okay, so there's a two-part answer here. I flipping love chameleons. They look amazing. They're cute as can be. When I was a teenager, I happened to get a chance to like handle one in a pet store once, and I just thought it was like the cutest thing I'd ever seen in my life, and I love them to pieces. But I've never kept chameleons. We've never bred chameleons, so I don't know. Maybe like
they don't really love to be handled.
I know.
Most of our reptiles do really well, and chameleons
and I
don't
like the ones that like to be held.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if like keeping
are you talking
them would
like
change my mind.
panther chameleons?
Yes. Although any chameleons are flipping adorable, but like so as far as like objectively the concept of a chameleon is probably my favorite reptile. However, in like practicality and like my own personal experiences, I just the ball pythons are probably tied with the tree monitors. The tree monitors are absolutely beautiful.
Tied with the okay. You just listed 3 reptiles.
I know. I told you that this was a hard question.
It's a 7-part answer, guys.
Shut up. But like because like I love working with the tree monitors. They're fantastic. And especially the blue tree monitor that we work with the most. What are you calling him right now?
Well, he's in the midst of a name change.
Yeah, he's in the midst of a name change. I don't even know what he's called at the moment, but the blue tree monitor we work with the most is getting so good. For a long time, Colin was the only one that had worked with him, and so he was like super chill and comfortable with Colin, but the second anyone else was in the room, he'd just like do his
freeze up.
I'm a statue in the corner of my enclosure act that was frustrating. He wouldn't eat for me. He wouldn't like come out for me. If I was even like in the next room over talking loud enough he could hear me, he'd stop like behaving properly. Like it was annoying for a while, but he decided that I was okay, I guess. And the last couple times that I've been in there and helped feeding, he'll eat for me. He'll climb out and crawl around on my arms, and he'll actually like purposefully come out and see me, which is kind of nice, and it's super awesome. But I have such a soft spot for the ball pythons because they actually seem to like enjoy being handled, and they're so slow moving that it's like therapeutic as they just kind of like explore and slither around and hang out. And I could probably sit here handling ball pythons just all day, every day for the rest of my life and just be happy as a clam. So.
What should we have done differently at the beginning 6-7 years ago to build our business better or more efficiently?
More efficiently? Well, that depends on how you look at it. I feel like the way that we did it was really good as far as getting hands-on experience in ways that from a business standpoint were low risk. I feel like we made some wise decisions. Starting with a smaller group of we didn't go for babies, we went for juveniles and subadults at first, so we kind of skipped the first like
3 years of
raise up and stress, so we could just kind of like get used to general care before we got to the point of like dealing with babies that require a little bit not a whole lot. Ball pythons are pretty tough and resilient, but the babies have to be fed more often. They're a little bit more fragile. They're way more scared of everything because they haven't learned that not everything around them is trying to kill them. So it's just, I feel like the way we did it was pretty good if we wanted from a business standpoint and not necessarily from like a conservative, risk-free kind of a standpoint. We probably should have invested in like more expensive breeders to begin with, smaller numbers, higher value as far as the
gotcha.
marketing value of the morphs go, because right now we're breeding babies from those original hets, and it took us like 4 years to finally actually get any visual ultramels that we kept, and we've still got some that we're just holding back and waiting to grow up. Like we're still on like the phase 2 of that project, and we started that one the same summer we started bringing ball pythons back in 2015. And so I feel like there were probably some ways that from like a financial standpoint we probably could have invested our money a little bit wiser and built our projects in a slightly more lucrative fashion. But overall I like the way we did it.
I do too.
But that's just me.
Okay, almost done. What do you say to your coworkers or friends who hear what your business is and their first reaction is, ew, snakes are disgusting?
I laugh at them. I straight there's no holds barred there. I laugh at them. I just like laugh and usually say something along the lines of like, yeah, I know they're not for everybody, but I think they're amazing. And I think people are crazy that don't think that they're awesome too. And I don't know. I honestly, I haven't met a whole lot of people that their reaction is ew. I've met a lot of people that are like have a vague fear of snakes and reptiles in general. So I've gotten a lot of, oh my gosh. I've gotten a couple, you let your kids hold something that could bite them? Ah! Kind of reactions.
And, and these people have like a German Shepherd at home.
Right. It abuses me. That like, the same people that freak out that I let my children hold snakes and lizards. Like.
Tiny snakes and lizards.
Right?
I mean, seriously.
Well, like, let their kids, like, sleep on a dog bed with their dog. And I'm like, that's a wolf, guys. I love my dogs, but like that's a wolf.
It has the
whatever
capacity
like,
to do serious damage.
I mean, like, there's entire breeds of dogs that are known for being like aggressive, or at least have the stereotype and the stigma of being aggressive and dangerous and whatever. And I don't know. I just think it's funny that people think it's such a big deal. But mostly, back to the original question, I laugh at them a little bit. I don't like heckle them or anything, but I definitely laugh that like that's their reaction.
I don't get a lot of ews. I sometimes get people who are like, "Oh, so you guys are never gonna really earn any money."
See, I never get that.
The business side of things, I guess, that some people
I never really
can't
get
possibly be viable.
But that's because I've become super, super good at describing our business by way of like the potential, I guess. Like literally in like the first kind of illustration of our business, I talk about the different animals that we breed, the different I talk about some of the market value of some of our more common sales, which in the last couple of years have gone up. So like people are like, oh, you sell a lizard for $700 a pop? That's cool. Yeah. And all of a sudden like they're like, oh, that
as soon as you tell people there's money, all of a sudden they don't think it's as lame.
Right?
No? People suck.
It's weird. They do, but people are also awesome because quite frankly, and I didn't think this was going to be the case when we first started doing this in any sort of large number. You know, when we had one rack of 8 snakes, it doesn't really look like a business at that point, does it? So since we got bigger, and this is obviously an intentional operation, people's reactions have been different, but I've been pleasantly surprised by how many people I tell that to, and they're either just oh, that's cool, and then let it go, or they're super interested, and they ask me all these kind of questions about what animals I keep, and how do we do this, and how do we sell them, and all this other. I've got so for those of you guys that don't know, I work as a pharmacy technician at one of the pharmacies here in Anchorage, and one of the pharmacists is just always checking in on how some of our different animals are doing. She wants constant reports on how our sailfin dragon babies are doing, because she's just so excited to hear that we have figured out this hatching breeding thing with the Philippine sailfin dragons. And I love seeing that support from people that probably would not care at all what the what the reptile industry is doing, but they're genuinely fascinated by this business that we've got going here, and they check in about it and they will ask questions, and I've been pleasantly surprised by the positive reactions and support we get. So
last question, realistically, where do you see us and our business being at in 5 years?
In 5 years?
5 years.
So in 5 years, I realistically see us as having maybe not our like final commercial space, but some sort of commercial space where our local customers have somewhere where they can come and see the animals, see our inventory, get like all of the dry goods, supplies, enclosure setups, anything they could possibly need to take care of these amazing critters that we've got here. I see us having a much more extensive and not in the middle of my living room breeding facility so that we can actually like up production and expand all of our critters, and primarily the ball pythons. I think we're probably going to stick to ball pythons being like our main plug for the entirety of our business, but I also think that having a more professional and more established breeding facility will let us branch out to some of the other species that we really want to get to working with. So, and I really do think that in the next 5 years we'll hit those marks. I'm not sure if we'll be in like our final facility or our final commercial space, but I feel like we'll get to a much more legitimate place in our business than we are right now operating out of our home.
Will it be our only income at that point?
No. Oh gosh, no.
You don't think?
I don't think so.
You think you'll still have to be working other jobs and stuff?
No, but I think that we will also be having income from our farm.
Oh, like other businesses and
yeah,
stuff. Right.
Yeah. So I don't think in 5 years I think that I will not have to have either of my other two jobs, and like there are aspects of both of my jobs that I actually like. I genuinely love working as a pharmacy technician. I was pleasantly surprised by that, but I know. But like I like it. I really do. I like certain parts of being an insurance agent. I like helping people. I suck at sales. I don't know. I'm not a shiny shoe salesman. It's not what I do. But I do generally like helping answer people's questions and trying to like solve some of their problems and kind of alleviate stress. I think that that's nice. But in the next 5 years, I fully believe and hope and pray that
we'll just be farmers.
That we'll be farming reptiles and farming whatever else we're growing, and that we'll be able to be doing what we want to be doing, right?
Yeah, because guys,
yeah,
we're 6 years in. We just started paying ourselves this year.
Yes.
Right? So 5 years from now, we'll be 11 years in. It had better be our sole income by that point.
Right?
We're just, ugh. That's a long time.
It is.
All right.
But yeah, there we go.
I hope you guys liked it. If you did, let us know, and we can do more things similar to this in the future.
Yeah, I don't really get in front of the camera that often.
You don't.
I'm usually on the other side, like giving Colin cues to like pick up the animal.
Yeah, which is what I've been trying to tell you this whole time. Pick it up, pick it up.
Be in frame. I know. It's hard.
Yeah, it gets your arms tired, doesn't it?
It does. I know my shoulder hurts.
You always call me a whiner.
I don't call you a whiner.
All right. Anyway, that is all for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, we're the Reptile Barn.